What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome back to another episode of the Michael Balco Show. You already know season 3 debut right here. It's your host, Mikey B. Come on now. You already know who your host is. You've been here for 3 years now. That's wild. That's wild. But today, it's not about me. It's about my guest. I'm excited to announce him. He's one of the best JUCO wide receivers in the country, a Tick Tock creator with over 160,000 followers at the time of this recording. It's only going up, though, man, just like the stock market. And one of the most dedicated athletes I can very confidently say that I've ever interviewed. Tyson Schilling, how are we doing, my man?
Doing good. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thanks for reaching out, man. And it's great that we could just collab today and just chop it up a little bit on the show, kick off season
hmm
3, make it lit.
Sure.
Make it lit
Yep.
as shit, my boy. But first and foremost, we got to rep that area code. Tell us about your hometown and what makes it so unique.
651, baby. So I'm from St. Paul, Minnesota. Freezing cold up here. I think right now it's about -10 or something the last few days. So happy New Year. Yep. Born and raised St. Paul, Minnesota. Always been a Minnesota guy. It's cool. I love Minnesota because we always say we got no hurricanes, no tsunamis, no anything. We're in the perfect area. So it's got its pros and cons when it comes to the weather, especially. But some of the best, most beautiful summers you'll ever see, and the winters are beautiful as well. So gotta love it. So
That's what's up. That's what's up. So tell us a little bit about your recruiting journey out of high school and how you ended up at Iowa Western.
right. So I had a very sorry, my dog's barking a little bit. I had a wild journey. So I always wanted to do something with football or basketball. Honestly, I was a big basketball guy growing up. I was basketball heavy, training, camps, and all that stuff. And I went to my local high school here, kind of up the street from me, because my brother was 2 years older than me. He went there. I knew we did not have the best rep for being the best high school or anything, or being necessarily good. And I always knew that going into it. I was like, I don't want to go here. We're not. It's not going to get me to where I want to be. I still did it anyways. My parents made me like, your brother's there. I was a quarterback at the time. They're like, go throw to your brother. He's the running back, and live it up. So I went to high school. First year I was freshman quarterback. I was back up for kind of varsity. I started some JV stuff, so I played there. Ended up breaking my collarbone in the season, just getting crunched on a sack. So I was like, all right. And we came back again the next year. I was starting varsity over there. So I was playing with my brother, but I wasn't quarterback. There was open spots, so they're like, we're going to start you at corner. So I started at corner and safety and some skill stuff like kick returner and punt returner. So I played there for a little bit. It was just it was a pretty rough season. So I remember the last game, my brother hugged me and he told me, it's like, you got to get out of here. So I was like, all right, that's all it takes. My brother telling me at the last game, crying that I got to get out of here. I was like, we got to get out of here. So I went around the local area, started looking for schools, and I came across my next high school was a powerhouse private school down in St. Paul, so down in the capital, not too far, honestly. Still super close to me, which is crazy. I knew tons of people there, so I ended up transferring in my junior year. It was all for sports, really, so my family had to make some pretty big moves. So here in Minnesota, we have a transfer rule. So if you want to transfer high schools and play varsity, you have to move your residency for, I believe, 6 months. So believe it or not, they took that jump with me. So we kept the house we have now that I've lived in for many years now, but we got a little place downtown, not in one of the nicest neighborhoods. So I was living in a duplex downtown in the west side of St. Paul. I was living there just so I could play sports at this private school. So I was there. Once football season came around, I was a quarterback. I was coming into a super political situation. It's a private school, so people are there. They're paying money to have their kids play and be successful. So I went into there, and the coaches were honest with me. They're like, hey, I mean, our starting quarterback's returning. We went to the state semis last year. We got 3 other quarterbacks that are your age, which is obviously a red flag. And they're like, well, we got an open receiver spot. You're super athletic. And growing up, I always played skill positions. So I was like, I knew it would come back and bite me in the ass one day for being so athletic. I was like, yeah, okay. So they kind of, I worked my way into it. I was now starting receiver after never really playing receiver ever in high school, etc. So I grew in that position and trained. One of my teammates is a University of Minnesota commit, so I worked a lot with him. So I played and kind of fell in love with that position. So at the end of my junior year is kind of when the recruiting actually started. I was kind of a late guy. So going into my senior year, I didn't hear from any schools. And the very first school I heard from was actually Yale. So I heard from an Ivy League school, which I was just checking my email. I was like, whoa. I was like, they got the wrong guy or something? Because I was like, I don't know if I'm there for that. I was like, okay. So it kind of became apparent to me that my football was kind of my number one. I was still basketball heavy at the time. I was waiting for basketball season. We're known for having a great basketball team. So I was mainly excited for that. And then that outside football stuff started coming in. So I started taking it more serious. I started training more off season. So I played the basketball season that first year. And I was stuck on JV as a junior. And if anybody knows JV as a junior is not that good, you're like, oh man. So I was sitting behind, they brought in my best of buds, but they're all 4 and 5 stars ranked nationally basketball players. And I'm the little 5'11" white guy. I'm like, this thing might not work out as good as I thought. So, I enjoyed the year. I played basketball, got, some garbage minutes. Everybody knows end of the game you'll get in. So that really pushed me to like realize that football was kind of where I belong more. Growing up, I loved it. So that's when I really dove in. My senior year, I quit basketball. I was just training, all off season stuff. And we came into the senior year, and that's when camp season hit. A lot of people know about camp season. Going into your senior year, you really want to make sure you go to tons of camps and get that exposure. So I was bouncing around camps. Some D2 camps. Obviously, I went to some D1s. I went to Minnesota Gopher camp. I had a great camp there. Got some good write-ups and some stuff. And then I think going into my senior years when I got like my first scholarship offer, I got a D2 offer from University of Minnesota Crookston. So they're actually shut down now. I'm pretty sure the program had only like 3 to 5 wins in the last 7 years. All right. So we started somewhere. Right. So I got that close to my birthday in May. And kind of went from there. I mean, it was still a great feeling, obviously, getting that first offer and just kind of growing from there. So heading into my senior year, we had a new coach transition come in. So we got a brand new coach who's a alum from the school, used to coach or play, I think, back in the day. But he came in with a completely different style, which was honestly for me, it was more for the worse at the time. He brought in a lot of old school stuff, a lot of old school flavor, which and nowadays football, honestly, old school doesn't work. You need to have that flash and the new offenses and guys doing all this crazy stuff. So we brought in a new coach, and that's kind of when everything just shifted around. Still recruiting wise, I was still getting a lot of those schools, but it wasn't necessarily the ones that I was looking for or really dreaming towards. So I was racking up a lot of NAI offers, a lot of D2 offers. Obviously, nothing wrong with that. I respect every division. I still today talk to every division just because I never know, where a coach will end up or where I'll end up. So just letting everything in, and then the senior season, we racked off the first 4 in a row. We were number 2 in the state. It was like, this is where we need to be. Then we lost the next 5 in a row. So we had an absolute tank of a season, just nosedived, lost the next 5. Everything broke loose. It was terrible. Guys were freaking out, but that's when the recruiting really picked up. Sorry if that was a long backstory, but kind of just puts me to where I am. So after that, we got into the off season. So honestly, I don't know. I did not have a good relationship with my head coach. It was really nothing for me. It was kind of coming in. I just when somebody doesn't like you and you don't know why, but you just can't change that. So
yes, sir.
I acknowledged it, and I had my own coaches telling me, like, I mean, you guys need to try to get on the same page, especially with the recruits coming in, the coaches coming in. So I was, I had meetings with him, just trying to get rid of that edge and just be up front. Like, I need you to get where I want to be. He still didn't really take that. Like, I don't know. Yeah, we'll do this. So I had a lot of schools contacting me, coming in to visit me in school. And I remember once it was actually a JUCO. Iowa Central came in, and this was near the end when I really didn't consider JUCOs until like the last 2 weeks, and I pulled the trigger and went to one because I was visiting a lot of the D2s. There's a ton in Minnesota. None just felt like the right fit. As a guy, I'm a big dreamer. I've always had these goals I want to hit, and I feel like you only get one shot, especially in football. It's going to break your heart one day to really try to hit those goals. So that's when I just bet on myself. A lot of coaches were disappointed, but I just decided, I'm going to go JUCO. So I had schools like Iowa Central come in, and unfortunately, I was waiting all day because like once we're here, we'll text you and we'll sit down and talk because it's a big thing to meet a coach. And my head coach didn't take me out of class, which he didn't want to, which was frustrating because when somebody drives multiple hours to come see you, and then you can't actually talk with them, that was rough. So that kind of edged off my connection there. So I continued to train, and then one of my buddies I trained with said, "Yeah, I just visited Iowa Western. It was super cool, blah blah blah, amazing facilities." And I'm committing. I'm like, "Whoa, okay, what's this? Like, you're actually looking at JUCO? I didn't really think of JUCO that much." And I looked into it. I hit up the head coach. We hit it off. Then I went down there for a visit, and then once I came back the next 2 days, I pulled the trigger and committed. So that got me to Iowa Western.
That's dope. That's a crazy story too.
Yeah, it's
all
just,
over the place.
I'm gonna have an autobiography one day. I say it's gonna be crazy.
Do it. You should. But what's it like, real quick? This is kind of off the dome question. What's it like? You said you kind of had like clashes and stuff with your high school coach. What was it like whenever you got like a really good connection with a college coach that wanted you to be a part of their program? What was that like?
Yep. I mean, that was honestly the best feeling. I've always wanted to be where I'm needed, not wanted, if that makes sense, especially in college football, because a coach will show interest in you, but that doesn't mean you're going to come in and play and be his buddy, because once the paper's signed, it's a whole different world. So yeah, having those coaches really just like constantly call me or reach out like, "Hey, I want you," like to openly say that I want you, I need you in my program. It was a great feeling. Unfortunately, a lot of those were the programs that I personally didn't feel like I wanted or needed at the time. So going to Iowa Western and then meeting those coaches and really just having that energy of everybody wanted the same ultimate goal of being successful. And biggest thing for me was, I want to get to the NFL one day, and I want to be around coaches that can do that for me. So when they're like, "Yeah, we're going to get you Division I scholarships, and you're going to get to the league and all this," and they're like, "We're going to get you ready," I'm like, "Okay, that's exactly what I wanted to hear." Obviously school is a huge part, but coming out of high school, that's not your biggest focus. Is I need to go somewhere to get my degree, which obviously it is, but a lot of those schools were academic heavy, school first. So I want to be somewhere sport first to really launch me forward. And then once I met them and they said that, that's all I needed to hear. So
that's what's up. That's what's up. So you eventually ended up transferring from Iowa Western to East Los Angeles, a complete culture change right there, my man.
Yep.
What factored into that decision, and was it a difficult decision?
All right. So this one it gets crazy. So obviously COVID hit, right? Normally, there's a spring season and a fall season in football and college football. So normally the fall season obviously is games, spring season you'll do still practices, scrimmages, spring stuff, and you still get recruited. So when COVID hit, Iowa Western told us that we had to flip that. So we had a fall season was our spring season, and our spring was now our fall. So the very first fall I was there, I got there early, like July 5th, is the day after the 4th. I got out there. So we were practicing every single day, ended up doing scrimmages and stuff. It was really going good. I was looking high on the depth chart. And I tore my knee. So I tore my meniscus on both sides, and I strained my ACL. So that was a huge setback. So from there, I had to go home, get surgery, and I ended up rehabbing like super fast. It was like 3 to 4 months, and I was back. I hit the ground running and stuff.
Jeez.
I went back to Iowa Western. Their trainers were amazing because of the facility. So I was doing rehab 2-3 times a day, and they got me right back. And I got cleared the day before camp started. So you know what college football camp is? It's the worst, right? That's when you're going to go 21 days straight, no breaks, and just dive into it. And they're like, "Are you sure you want to do this?"
You couldn't get cleared like a couple weeks into camp, bro.
Exactly, exactly. And I just tore my knee, so I just rehabbed. Obviously, I'm not going to be as fast, as explosive. And they're like, "All right, yeah, you're good to go." I was like, "Really?" So I went into camp It was. I feel like I didn't miss a step. I came back into it hot as a guy who just tore his knee. I was moving and stuff, so we did testing obviously, and I thought I was going to run a 4.4 my first day back, and that was not the truth. That was the ugly truth. Found out quickly I was not as fast as I was or as explosive. So luckily I didn't have to wear a knee brace or anything that would slow me down. So I dove back into it. I was fighting for spots, but during the spring, the fall season was done for the big D1s that played. So tons of transfers came in. So we had a bunch of big time guys, NFL sons, NFL brothers coming in, guys with big names and stars. And that's a big thing in JUCO is politics. So no matter how good you are, if a guy's coming in who had, we had a receiver who had 50 offers out of high school. If you have 50 offers out of high school versus, some kid from up north Minnesota, it's going to be hard to beat that out, even if it's off a skill, just because of who the guy is. So, we were competing for spots and stuff was going good. And then, it was hard because over there's an in-state, out-of-state rule. So if any Iowa JUCO, 53 guys on the roster have to be from the state of Iowa, which leaves not a lot of room for especially traveling. Traveling to games is a smaller roster than a home game. So we all thought everybody was going to play. And then they hit us kind of a week before, like, no, a certain amount of guys have to be from Iowa. And they don't tell you that when you commit or anything because, it's a huge red flag. They just say, a few guys, it's not a big deal. So when you get there, you find out quickly, like, this kid's not good, but he's from Iowa. He actually might play.
Them Iowa kids different, bro.
Yeah, so I'm telling you,
it's the corn dog.
You got the big corn farm Iowa kids, and they're beating you out for your spot, and you're just like, how? But we had our receiver room hit 40 guys. It was 35 to 37 guys at a junior college, which is insane. Dwindle it down, that leaves 8 could travel, so 4 had to be from Iowa and 4 out of state. So a guy like me, I'm fighting for 4 spots with 30 other guys. So I'm fighting with guys, that are obviously older, have more experience, guys that have been there like freaking 3 years, or guys that have had the stars and the politics. So, and I still paired up pretty good, but eventually when camp got done and we were getting closer to games, there's a little switch, and they kind of like snuck me in on scout team a little bit, and I realized it. I'm like, this is scout team, isn't it? There's 2 separate practices. One would be at like 5 in the morning, like right early. You have to get up super early, and the next one would be right after that. So they'd switch guys around in groups without really saying anything. We'd just be like, okay, coach, like, that's cool. I'll go to a group now, get more sleep. And then you come in and you realize, like, the first group's got a lot of better guys than my group. And then that's when it kind of came out, like the week before, like, yeah, this group is all scout guys helping out the defense, and these guys are helping out the offense. So, I met with my coach just to be clear. He's like, yeah, you're there just right now. Obviously, you're a baller. You're going to get a chance to play. And I was tearing up the first team defense, so I enjoyed it in front of the head coach. Like, yeah, I need to play, They're like, your time's coming. You're going to play. Don't worry about it. So the week started passing, and eventually we got to like week 5 or 6, and I'm like, coach, I haven't even got pulled up to the starting practice group. Like, is there still, what's going on here? You told me there's like a 99% chance that you'll play this year. And they told me, well, unfortunately, the way things going, we don't think that's going to happen this year. So that was a huge, like, I was like, junior college is extremely hard mentally. There's days that are down and days that are up, but you can never really feel settled because it's always going to change. There's days that you'll just break down. There's days that you'll feel amazing. And you just got to come every day. You gotta, eat your food with the guy next to you and then fight for the spot with him just to play. So once I found out that there was no chance of me really playing, and it was a COVID year, which the eligibility didn't count, that's when I was like, well, maybe I should look at other places or start exploring a little bit, because a lot of guys, once they find out they're on scout team, they pack the car and left. They're like, I should, whether they're good or not, some guys were scout team, obviously, but I should play. I'm going to leave. I've never quit, never been a quitter or anything. I don't call myself a quitter, but college football is a business, obviously. You got to do what's best for yourself. The coaches is going to do the same. I mean, you see it now. Coaches are taking paychecks and saying bye and just catching a flight. So that's when I'm like, it's a business. I got to do what's best for me. So I came to realization, they started playing away games, and I was sitting there, and I'm 4.5 hours from Minnesota, so I'll drive back home on a weekend, see my people, and just talk to my parents. Like, yeah, I mean, they're going on away games, and we just sit here for 3-4 days doing nothing. So I realized, like, this probably isn't where I want to be. They supported me, so I talked to the coaches. It's like a exit meeting in Hard Knocks on the NFL show, just sitting down with the coach. I'm like, but I was doing it. I'm like, I think I found better opportunity. I appreciate everything, and I think we're gonna depart ways. So they loved how professional it was. A lot of guys go in there kicking and screaming and stuff. So I just emptied my locker. Obviously it was tough with the connections I made with the guys that have been there forever. But a lot of people understood. Even the coaches told me, because that's kind of when one weekend I was driving back to Minnesota, and I just started going through my phone, looking at people to call, coaches who recruited me. I was calling some Cali JUCOs. I looked into Butte College, which is up north. Aaron Rodgers went there. So obviously they had some good guys. Up north is a little different than SoCal with the play style. Obviously it's kind of more Midwesty running and stuff. So I met Trayshawn McMillan, which was my quarterback at ELAC. I met him at Iowa Western. So he's from Minnesota. Somehow I didn't know the guy. Everybody knew of him, but I really didn't. He went to a high school 20 minutes from me. I just still didn't know him. He was my friend's quarterback. I never knew the kid. Met him at Western. We were on scout team together. We were lighting it up, all this stuff, and we really had that. We formed a connection just off of playing together and stuff. And he bounced around 3 JUCOs or 2 JUCOs already because quarterback is a super hard position. And the same thing happened to him once the season started. The coach said, "I didn't expect to get these transfers. You just came in to be a scout guy." He was in California JUCO, so he flew across the country and found out he was going to be a scout guy. So he went back to Cali, reconnected with him on the drive. And we always talked about, he's like, you'd fit in Cali ball. You'd love Cali ball, the play style, the people, everything about it. You'd fit it perfect. And I was like, nah, man, I belong here, And then the weeks went on, and I was like, maybe he's right. So I called him on the drive, and he said, yeah, I'm going to go to ELAC, East Los Angeles. I was like, you mean the Netflix school? He's like, yeah. I was like, okay. I was like, well, I mean, I'm interested. Can I talk to the coach or something? So once I packed my stuff up and went home, I got in contact with the offensive coordinator, Coach Drummer at ELAC. Amazing guy, amazing person, love him to death. So he called me, and I remember I was actually hanging out with a girlfriend, and I was like, I gotta take his phone call real quick. I got a coach calling me, and I ended up being on the phone for 4.5 hours. So I came back downstairs. Everybody was asleep. I was like, oops. But we talked just for hours, and the great thing was getting to know who I was as a person, not only a player, So he really dug in and was like, I could tell off your film, this first step, that you know what you're doing. You've been coached. You knew this. And they're really big on, I'm not going to fly a guy out across the country for no reason. I'm gonna be honest, like, you're gonna play a lot. It'd be wrong for me to do that because Cali has no dorms, no meal plans, and no scholarships. So an out of state, it gets expensive. You're coming out there and you got to pay for everything out of pocket. Unlike the Cali guys. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And I was going to Los Angeles. I was like, geez, I should have chosen a cheaper city. But, and community college in California is free your first year. So, and this obviously wasn't my first year. I'm not an in-state resident. So I had to pay a lot out of pocket. So eventually we kept talking, chopped it up, and I flew out there for a visit. Just because, they're like, normally guys don't visit JUCOs, but I was like, if I'm moving across the country, I'm going to have to visit and see what I'm getting myself into. So I flew out there, met the coaches. They're amazing staff. And I felt so close with them, just like they wanted me, and they're like respected everything about me. So, went there, saw the facilities, obviously not like Iowa Western. This isn't a light up locker room and a state of the art facility, weight room. Like, this is Los Angeles, it's the east side of Los Angeles, and it's a junior college, so you're gonna get what you're going for. But the stadium was 25,000. Never filled past 500, obviously, but it was built for like the Olympic soccer game or something. But just playing in a stadium that big in general looked fun. So I was like, yeah, this looks really cool. So the main part I went out there was for the exposure. I've always wanted to play on the West Coast. I've like the Pac-12 and all that stuff and the play style out there. So that was the main reason is, a Cali school is not going to come recruit in Iowa because they got guys in their backyard. They got hundreds of JUCOs they can just go pick from right there and come see you in person. So that's how I ended up at ELAC. Next thing you know, they're like, well, can you be out here in a month? And I was like, wait, what? They're like, yep, we're going to need you moved in by a month if you want to be eligible and all this paperwork and stuff. So came back home, finished up training, stacking up some money to get out there. So I moved out and I lived with the quarterback I met at Iowa Western, Trayshawn. So he stayed in Fullerton, Orange County area. I don't know if you're familiar with Cali, but it's a nicer area, but it's far from Los Angeles, about 45 minutes, especially with traffic. So I was staying with him, and the plan was stay on the couch until I got on my feet and found a place that I could maybe get for myself, or just stay with him on the couch and not have to pay nearly as much for rent and stuff. And when I got there, the receivers coach picked me up. I met him, super cool guy, brought me, and I walked in and there's another dude sitting on the couch. And I was like, who are you? He's like, oh, my name's Guy McCarthy and I'm staying on the couch too. So we both look at Trey. I'm like, you didn't tell me that another guy was staying here. He's like, oh yeah, this is the other receiver I just brought in. So he was a bounce back from FAU and FIU, so he played big time ball. So we just met, and then next thing you know, we're both sleeping on the couch together. So that's how we all met. And it was a 2-bed, 1-bath, little small apartment, and we got 4 guys in there. So rotating showers, rotating food, all that stuff. So it was a real California JUCO experience. And then eventually we were all supposed to get a place together because we got some money from working. So out there, we were put on by our football team for security jobs. There's festivals every weekend and concerts. So you don't need, obviously a big application or anything. They all pay in cash. Just like, come here. Don't let anybody break anything or fight. So we were going to these hippie concerts, just just big concerts, just full, and like San Bernardino and like Rolling Loud and stuff like that. And I worked 4th of July, like made double pay just so I could stack up some money to get a place. And then finally we all found a place right by the school, and they were like, all right, yeah, let's do it. Let's get it. And then one of our roommates is like, oh, I can't get a cosigner though. Because, we needed cosigners to help with, like pay stubs and stuff like that. So we're like, so we just spent months looking and you can't even get in on this. He's like, no, I can't. So their lease didn't end for the next a month or two. And, they weren't in a rush because they're living fine. But we're sleeping on the couch every day. And we're like, we need to get out of here. So me and my roommate Guy ended up getting our own place. We moved out about 2 blocks from USC. Not a beautiful neighborhood at all. It was in West Adams, so really, really run down neighborhood. Don't go outside a lot unless you got to. But we found a nice spot, a little bachelor pad, and we were just kicking it over there. So that's how I got out there.
That's what's up. So is California JUCO? I guess this is the biggest question because like you kind of touched on, like Last Chance U. I mean, when people think of JUCO, they think of Last Chance U. It's like hand in hand at this point. Is it really the way it is on Netflix, or did they? I've had the opportunity to talk to one of Last Chance U's very own RJ Stern and all of that stuff. So he kind of touched on the whole thing, but let's hear it from you too. Is it all it seems to be, or what's going on with it?
So there it is, but it isn't. Obviously they'll do some stuff because it's better to watch, it's more entertaining. But it really depends where you are. For say, Independence, that place sucks. I mean, it's in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing to do. There's one subway in town, and these guys are just having to just live off their own and find stuff to do. And at the time, Jason Brown was there, and obviously, like, no, he was a hyped up coach. Like that was legit. So, I mean, if you follow him on Twitter, you see he's the exact same way. He doesn't care what you think. So, Iowa Western, I mean, they said all the time, Last Chance U wanted to record us and put us on the season, but our head coach said he didn't like how we'd act around cameras. He's like, you put hundreds of cameras in front of 19-year-old guys, it's not going to be realistic. They're going to act different. They're going to do dumb stuff. So over there, I would say it is pretty similar, but we were fortunate at our Western to have the facilities and stuff and dorms and be in a relatively nice town. We're 10 minutes from Omaha, so it's not like we had one subway and nothing to do. We found stuff to do. Obviously, it was in Iowa, which is pretty boring, but the actual work ethic is true. Yep, they will wake you up at 4 in the morning to go roll the field and then go back to your room. So it is definitely a grind. As for Cali, I know there's a season on Cali that was at Laney, that's up north. So it's a little different for SoCal because obviously money. I mean, it's way more expensive in Southern California, in the LA area. So we had a lot of teammates. It was like 4 to 6 guys sharing a 2-bed apartment, all throwing in like $500 for rent. I mean, it was a lot. So stuff with meals too. Our coaches would try to feed us a lot because they know a lot of guys. I was fortunate enough, obviously, me and my roommate to get a decent place and always have food. And I shipped my car out there and have transportation. But I know a lot of guys have to take the bus. A lot of guys, someone sleep in their car and stuff. And some guys have to work, 12-hour shifts on Saturday and Sunday just so they could make some money up. So I'd say that it definitely is true to an extent. It really depends who you're with or what the circumstance is. But yeah, Last Chance U it's a really good show at displaying the ugly truth of junior college football.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just think it's kind of just like filtered or they try to add too much stuff that's just not true. But yeah, man. I mean, I've heard from multiple different people.
They got more than enough to show. They got a lot they could show. So
I'm sure they cut out a ton of stuff too.
Yeah,
I'm positive of it. I'm about to ask the hardest question I ask every single athlete on this show. Ready for it?
Hit me.
All right. Who is the best player you've ever played with and against in your entire life?
Ooh. Okay. Let me think. Best player I've played with. High school. Nobody really stood out to me in high school. I didn't think I was better than. That's just how I am, though. I mean, we had guys go to big time schools, but they were solid. Peter Dorbach was that receiver with me. He went to the University of Minnesota. He's there right now. I played with a linebacker from my school. Took a walk on to Arizona State. Eventually transferred to Abilene Christian. So he was really solid. I didn't really play anybody in Minnesota, honestly. That was like a 3-4 star like corner lockdown or anything. But when I got to our Western is when I met like my Georgia boys and my Florida boys, and these dudes like showed me their rivals account, and I see Georgia and Auburn and all of this stuff. So if I'm honest, I mean the entire DB room at Iowa Western was insane. That was the main reason I became so much better was playing scout team. I'm honestly thankful for it. I was going against these dudes that were getting offers like crazy, and especially out of high school, they were really good. So there's a lot there. Who can I think of? Honestly, one is from Minnesota. Was my roommate, Nambi Obiezer. He just committed to TCU. So he just got tons of offers at Iowa Western. He's a safety. I trained with him a lot. I don't know if I would say he's the best because I trained with him so long, so we know each other so well, technique wise. But he's definitely up there. And I would say the corners at Iowa Western were just they were straps, they were locking down. So I'd give credit to those boys. Cali had some dudes. I never really felt like I was outmatched necessarily in Cali. That's why I really liked it. I felt like I was tearing up. But there's definitely some DBs out here in Cali that have 12, 15 offers now that I went against. So respect to them too.
That's what's up. What's your welcome to college football moment? Do you have one?
Oh yeah. So I'll just kind of go both because both JUCOs are so different. For Iowa Western, it would be waking up 4:30 in the morning, so having to go to bed at like 9:10 if I just want to be functional. Wake up at like 4:30, go to these workouts, and it was just yelling and screaming everywhere. First day when you get there and they're trying to whittle out the weak guys, we had to do a workout where we put our hands on our head and the coach just screams military chants, just right, left, right. So we had to hop like a 90-degree angle, side, front, and back, and just hop. And if you messed up, we'd have to restart or it'd be punishment. And this is the entire team. So you got 300-pound guys hopping with the tummy floating, right, left, right. And then dudes are over anticipating it, jumping the wrong way. And dudes are just screaming at each other like, dude, what are you doing? the coach, man, they were there for like 3-4 hours just hopping, rolling obviously is terrible. Whoever invented that is terrible. Rolling on the football field will make you throw up no matter what. The weightlifting, honestly the camp too. There'll be days that you, especially as a receiver, you didn't know your legs didn't work like that. You'll get so sore. It's insane. Thank God we had ice baths. For East Los Angeles, I was pretty, it felt good to be like a second year guy because I had a lot under my belt. Like I knew what to expect, coming into a new system and stuff. Like a lot of guys are fresh out of high school, and I'm like, oh, this dude's gonna get crushed by this or that. So the fall camp for sure still gets me. I made it through every day, which I am proud of. I made it through the whole season without getting hurt. I'm big on taking care of my body, but there's days in fall camp it was terrible. We didn't even get ice baths because of COVID. The trainers wouldn't let us even get a trash tub like our Western did. So we didn't really have, those facilities to do rehab. We didn't have the stim machines and the 7 trainers like our Western massaging your legs and icing you, and you're on your phone chilling, watching Drake. It was just, here, grab a bag of ice and go home and come back tomorrow morning. So the fall camp will forever be there, and I'm not looking forward to it at the next level because it's going to get worse, and after that it's going to get worse. It's just something you have to do. So I'd say that for sure.
I've heard from a lot of college athletes that make it to the pros that college is the hard part, man. Once you get up to the pros, it's pretty easy. It's just freaking, it's chill once you get up there, bro. So you just gotta.
I mean, you're getting paid too, so
yeah,
who doesn't like that?
Yeah, you got benefits, PTO, bro.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
whole nut. Who you bumping to pregame?
Who have I been? I really bump around. Obviously, Drake. Drake's like the GOAT. He'll get in there sometimes, but
that's a hot take.
I met a lot of Florida boys. So I like a lot of Florida rappers now. My favorite's Rod Wave.
Island Boys.
I love him. Yeah, the Island Boys. Yep.
I'm just playing.
Island Boy. That's my pregame. No, I listen to everything, honestly. I never could get into the West Coast music though. Honestly, they'd always play it, and I'd be like, "This shit's trash. Turn it off." So they'd play that in the locker room. It just wasn't it. I'm like, I only listen to Tupac and anything West Coast. That's it. So I listen to those guys. A lot of Florida rappers. Yeah, all over the place. Really, anything rap I like. No country though. No country at all.
Damn, that's tough.
Yeah, I don't like country at all. I don't know.
Guess you can't really bump to a pregame, bro.
Nah.
Nothing like a little.
That's the biggest
driving your truck.
Workout music. Yep. In the pregame when you're warming up, you got those certain cities you're in. One city will play some real rap music. Like we're in Long Beach, they're playing bangers, and then we went up to Bakersfield, California, and they're playing 1980s rock and roll. So really depends where you're at, and when you got that kind of music on, you're like, you got to find your inner demon and just jam out. So warm up to Space Jam.
I ain't gonna lie though, bro. Country concerts, it kind of different though.
Man, that's what I've heard though. That's what I've heard.
Country music, just chilling, bro. Like on your way to work or something, bro. There ain't nothing better. Some good old country music, but pregame, bro, got to bump the rap for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So back to football. You've been getting you've been landing some offers from some D1 schools lately. So how's it feel to finally kind of reap the rewards, man? All that hard work you've been putting in. I know you ain't done yet. Not by any means are you done yet.
No.
But how does it feel to finally start to be able to reap some of those rewards?
Oh, it feels great, obviously. Not only those, but, every scholarship I've gotten from the D2 level and the NAI level and even, D3 interest, I'm grateful for all of it. So, it was a huge, sigh of relief just having somebody finally notice me. And it's funny because a lot of those coaches that offered me, they all point out the same thing. They're like, I can tell you have a chip on your shoulder. I can tell you seem pissed off when you're playing, like somebody did this to you. I'm like, yeah, high school, last JUCO injury, there's a huge chip on my shoulder. It's getting stale now. So I have that, I love that they'll respect that and my work ethic. And obviously I'm huge on getting it done in the classroom. I kept the 4.0 through JUCO so far.
Never missed a day.
Yeah, no, never. I've never missed a day of class and practice, of meetings, of any of that. And it's not really noticed now, but when you get to the next level and the next level, that's huge. If you miss an NFL meeting, you're gonna end up being cut. That's how I've kind of lived my whole life. I never missed a day at elementary school, never missed a day at middle school, high school. Like, I like being there. I like being in environments, and dudes would be like, "Oh, meeting." I'm like, dude, I love meetings. I love taking that tape and talking to coach and just moving myself up the depth chart to be successful. So getting those scholarships is a great feeling. Having them come in and meet me in person. I think that's a huge thing that helps me sell myself is if I can just get in front of the coach. You know, Obviously there's the eye test there. Like they'll look at me and they'll be like, but if I could shake their hand and talk to them and they'll see the kind of person I am, it just kind of game over for me. I'm going to take that advantage. So I'm super thankful for those. Obviously, it's a little different now commitment wise because the transfer portal opened up like crazy. Coaches are bouncing around like crazy, and it's a lot of guys in my position. We got good offers, but it's like we don't want to pull the trigger if we don't know if a coach is going to be there or if we don't know until everything settles down that we just want to dive into it, especially out of JUCO. I don't want to be one of those guys in the portal in the next year or two being like, well, it didn't work out. I just went because it was D1. So, I'm open to everything still. And yeah.
This next question I'm only asking because you reacted to it on my Twitter, so I got to ask it.
All right, let's see.
What are your thoughts on this Antonio Brown situation, my guy?
Man, so obviously at first when I saw it, I'm like, there's a backstory. There's always a backstory. I never really grew up watching a lot of AB, honestly. That's weird. Like, I don't remember watching a lot of Steelers games or anything, or really, like, I knew he was, watched the highlights here and there, but I never was like, AB's like my favorite player, like booming for life and all this stuff. Once, all the crazy stuff happened a year or two ago, I noticed that. So when he did that in the game, I'm like, there is probably some mental health stuff there, obviously, but the dude's been through a lot too. Like, I got some sympathy for what's happening, obviously. And then at first I'm like, he's kind of crazy. And then that story broke out that the coaches, he was like, I'm hurt. And the coaches were like, well, we don't care if you're hurt. If you're hurt, just go home. Like, leave. You're done. So it sounded like they kind of cut him on the sideline. They were just like, you're done. Leave. Take your shit and go home. So doing that to a guy like that, something's gonna flare up. We've all met people like that. You have to let Tom Brady go in a different way that you'll let Antonio Brown go. You got to know how he's gonna react in an area like that. So I'm pretty sure, to me, that makes more sense, especially with the incentive stuff that they said he was this close to 333 and 333 and almost $1 million. I would be really angry too if that's embarrassing. If they tell you to go to the locker room middle of the game and walk in front of everybody and take your stuff off. So that makes more sense to me why he threw that, and that was his way of going out. We don't know how long the dude is going to be in the league for, honestly, maybe another year, but he's made it pretty open that he doesn't care. He likes football, but he literally posted on Instagram and said, football is not who I am. He posted like an ad. It was hilarious. So I think that's what that is him. He wants to be remembered in a way. He's like, I'm going to go out like this. And then there's videos of him in an Uber. And he went to the Nets game last night. Like, the dude's unfazed. So the way he's handling it, I'm like, that's kind of like some king shit, like he's doing. It's like, I respect it. I'd rather than just being cut, being in headlines like, oh, they cut him on the sideline.
Dropped a whole ass album, bro.
Yeah, right. He dropped a song. I was like, what is going on? So I don't know how you feel about it, but that was like my first take, was just like, I don't know, crazy.
Listen, bro, when AB did that, I was crying because like, I don't know, I live in Erie, PA, so like Pittsburgh's not too far, so I've kind of followed him his whole career. And he's come up to Erie a few times to do some local attractions and whatnot. But so like AB's pretty familiar in my area. And then obviously just kind of seeing him go to Vegas with the whole like foot thing and then come back over to Tampa Bay or like New England and then Tampa Bay. And it's just like, damn. So it's been crazy. And then when I saw him do that, I was just like, honestly, like, it's just laughable. And like, I was just like, damn, at least like the Jets had low key something to cheer for, I guess, because they still ended up blowing that game, bro.
Tom Brady came back. So.
Always. He always does.
Yeah. They
Impossible.
got comfortable there.
Facts. So now we gotta talk about it. We ain't gonna go this whole podcast without talking about it. We got 161K on TikTok, my boy.
Oh,
We
yeah.
got it. How did you get into TikTok? And did you honestly believe whenever you created that account, my boy, that it would evolve into what it has been today? And also, what kind of opportunities has it opened up for you?
Man, sorry, I need some water for that one. So that started in, when I was younger, TikTok was Musically. I don't know if you knew about that.
Me
It was
too.
called
Yep.
Musically or something. It was like
Mm-hmm.
voiceover, kind of dumb stuff. Quarantine hit, and I remember like it was mainly a lot of girls had TikTok at the time. Like my girlfriend would be on it. I'll be like, who uses that anyways? And then like one day we were just watching them together. I was like, this is actually pretty funny. Like it matches your humor sense. Like it'll pair the For You page with what's funny to you. So then I just downloaded it during quarantine because we're locked. That's when it really blew up. Everybody's
Mm-hmm.
locked in the house. You can't do anything. And I was an athlete, so I had tons of there's a huge athlete audience out there. So I started making videos, and like my third one blew up, like got like 50,000 views or something. I was like, whoa! I was like, okay. I mean, this is kind of cool. I mean, I've always been about social media and if somebody says they don't want a lot of followers, they're lying to you. It's like everybody wants some social media love, obviously. You know, um, it's like you want a check mark, and they'll be like, no. I'm like, yes, you do. You want a check mark. Everybody
Facts.
wants a check mark. Um, and you got one. Congrats on that, obviously.
Appreciate you.
Um, so yeah, I started doing that more, and then they just started blowing up. Like I had one, I did a video of my family. So my dad's actually black, my mom's white, my brother's light skinned, and then I obviously don't look like the rest. So I made a video on that, and it got like 2 million views. And people were in the comments arguing. Everybody's a scientist now, talking about how genes work, or that I'm adopted, or my dad or mom cheated, or something like that. So they're pretty funny though. Just laughing at them. I didn't take them serious. Um, so it's like once you get a good video to really blow up, on any social media, like you'll see on Twitter, people will like comment like, by the way, follow me on Instagram, like because it's blowing up. You got to take advantage of that. So I started just posting more and more, and while I was hot, and I just kind of stayed hot. So after quarantine, I hit like 35,000 or something like that. Kind of dwindled down. Some videos don't make it that you'd want. But I kind of was like, I never really saw it as a big deal. I always say it's just TikTok clout, and it's different. Like if I had 35,000 on Instagram, it'd be way different than TikTok, which it is to an extent today.
Mm-hmm.
Like a million on TikTok, is different compared to any other social app. So then I kind of dove into it again when I got to Iowa Western, and I gained like another like 50, 60,000 over like 2, 3 weeks over there. And I was doing day in the life of a JUCO player and just giving like backstory stuff. And obviously that got out. So my coaches knew about it. They were calling me TikTok. I'd have DBs and one-on-ones talking shit to me, like, come on, TikTok, put that shit on TikTok, do this. And then you route them up, and I'd be like, yeah, it's going on TikTok later. So it was funny. Dudes would always, it still is obviously an issue today, just at the junior college level. Every game I played in California, I had dudes talking about it, like in the middle of the game on the sideline, just talking crap the entire time. But it was funny because when it really blew up like that, dudes would be like they talk about it and be like, well, maybe you could slip me in a video or something. Just teach me how to do it. I'm like, see, I was like, you want to do it? It's cool. So it really grew over there. I stuck with it when I came back. I really used it as more than just a platform, I'd say. I knew there's a big audience out there that I could actually kind of have an impact on, especially with like recruiting and just like motivational stuff. So that was
Mm-hmm.
kind of big for me. Was I know there's tons of kids out there who everybody wants to go D1 growing up, but that's obviously not the case. So I made it big, even like coming from a guy who's in JUCO and I had no offers. People are trusting my recruiting advice just because I've seen it firsthand. I'm like, you don't need to go play at Alabama, dude. You can go to your local town, put up 100 receptions, and just love football. So I really emphasize just loving football on my page and just, kind of bring a little community together. So I never really, I can't really veer off of sports now. Like if I try to post something different, it really won't really hit. It's got to just be sports because that's what my audience is. And I've acknowledged that. I mean, you see guys like, if you know what Destroying is, or AJ Green. These guys built huge audiences, like millions off of just football. So it shows you how big the football audience is. So it really kept blowing. People like fell in love with my story. I did a story of, it's kind of like a series, you know. I used it as like a mini TV platform. I was dropping episodes on my journey of how I got to junior college. So I started in high school.
That's when I found you too.
Yeah, really. Yep. So I did like 16 parts, and I've always been decent at editing videos, you know. This is like a side note. So I grew up customizing shoes and painting shoes. So I created a YouTube channel for that. And I mean, that's got like 12,000 subscribers, but I don't use it, you know, just because I think my audience is so much of shoe guys that they'll see me posting football stuff and they'll be like, this is the same. This is who? Like, when did I subscribe to this guy? So I've been meaning to try to get back onto YouTube and stuff, but, you know, it'll take time. It's a lot more work. You know that. The editing process, the monetization is worse than TikTok. Like, you get like $1 every 5,000 views on YouTube. It's ridiculous. So then let me hop back into the TikTok stuff. So that was really just like people were following my journey, and those were blowing up. You know, like I even had, it was funny. I think I even got in an argument once with Patrick Mahomes' little brother, Jackson Mahomes. He commented on one of my videos and said something. So
give us the tea.
Yeah, man, I don't remember what it was, but you know, a lot of people would like say stuff to him, and I think he said something. It was just funny. So it brought me a lot of attention. Like, he replied to one of my comments, and it brought the attention to my page. So I was like, hey, that's fine with me. So those videos were blowing up, and I know I got to a point like I couldn't milk it anymore. You know, I was just literally, those videos were just going through my camera roll. I was just posting stuff. I didn't have to do any work. I was just finding camp videos and highlights and doing voiceovers and adding a little music, and they loved it. So once I did that, you know, I got back into the JUCO stuff, and then decided I was going to, you know, I tore my knee. You know, it was obviously a huge negative, but I used that to an advantage, you know, I know tons of people go through injuries and you got to bounce back. So that hit our audience, and then transferring JUCOs hit the audience. And when I got to Cali, it was just like a different level of exposure, obviously. So that's what I was excited for. I mean, I'd be in Iowa, like the Canes drive-through, and they'd be like, hey, you're that guy from TikTok. And I'd be like, yeah, what's up? So they kind of started growing there. Like when it kind of hits you, like it doesn't feel like you know, making an impact on people. But now I think about it, like 160,000 would fill up an NFL stadium, and that's of all people that want to follow me. So it's kind of amazing. Like wow. I got my vaccination, and this lady was like, "Oh, my kids follow you on TikTok. Can I get a picture?" I was like, "What?" And I just got a shot in my arm, you know. So Iowa, it was happening. Like it was blowing up a little more wherever I go, and then, and you know, obviously to me, it's not a big deal. Like to me, I don't think it's anything. You know, I'm still thankful. But then I went to California, and I reffed the 7-on-7 football tournament, and them dudes in Cali get down different, right? They're some ballers, right? They're like 8th graders with the whole Pac-12 under their belt. So they were getting active, and I'm reffing, and then everybody there knew me. They're like, dude, that's TikTok guy, blah, blah, blah. Like, rate my drip or drown and all this stuff. And I was dying laughing. So
hey, you left my drip or drown on scene, dog.
I know. I gotta bring that series back. That did good because that drives, you know, the people out there know, but you got to connect your socials. So
Facts.
That was a big Instagram driver was, yeah, shoot me a DM on Instagram and then I'll put it on TikTok. So you got to use both socials. I'm big on social media. I gained probably 2,000 followers off of dudes who wanted me to rate the outfit. So I was like, you know, I'm going to do everything I can. So them dudes in Cali, you know, it was hilarious. They were taking videos of me out there that were blowing up, like Tyson Schilling spotted reffing in California. I'm like, man, what? Like, this is getting crazy. So, you know, it was super cool. Obviously, I'm thankful for it. My parents know about it. I mean, my coaches knew about it, and my ELAC coaches were cool. They'd be like, man, can I get a video or what? Like you playing? Like, put me in a video. I'm like, I got you, coach. So I'll put them in it. New coach Mosley too from last chance U basketball. He was hilarious. So all those guys, like they acknowledged it and they actually liked it. So obviously it's different at the JUCO level, but when you go to D1, everybody does it. You know, everybody's on any social media they can because of the NIL, and that came out. that helped me. I already could technically make money and stuff because I wasn't a NCAA athlete. So I was already doing that. People were like, "Hey, bro, you can finally do it." I was like, "Yeah, right, I can finally do it." I was like, I've been doing it. So I've been fortunate enough to work with actually like some big brands like PSD, the underwear line, and Ethica and stuff. And now I've kind of partnered with NCSA, so I've been working with them, which is crazy because I actually, I made an account with them growing up. How to get recruited and stuff. People have their hates or doubts about them and stuff. So I was like, well, what's a better way to improve it for other people than work with them firsthand and tell them what they need to fix and tell them how people feel about them and if it's a money grab or if they actually help. So that's like the biggest one I've been working with is NCSA. I got some stuff coming out with them, which is kind of like ironic. Like I'm working with a recruiting page and I can't even get recruited myself right now. It's like I'm trying to get my own offers and I'm working with the page telling others how to get offers. I'm like, yeah, we'll see if this works. So the TikTok stuff's, great. I'll probably keep doing it no matter how much shit I get in the games, in the sidelines. It's hilarious. But we played some heated games, man. I come to the opposing sideline and man, it was just hectic though. Everybody knew me and was screaming
Yeah.
at me. It was crazy.
And one person, I'm sure you know who he is, Clifford Taylor the Fourth. I've actually had him on my show,
Hmm.
and I kind of discovered him the exact same way I discovered you. Like literally just scrolling on my For You page, he posted his story, I followed him. Same thing I did with you. Like you posted your story,
Yeah.
I followed you. Like because that's obviously what I'm all about. And and I know he did something similar. It's like he was playing at Florida, and obviously a larger audience, but still,
Yeah.
like
For
he's playing
sure.
at Florida, and his story kind of blew up. I mean, he went from flag football to playing at Florida, like a tight end at Florida. It's
Yeah.
crazy story. And obviously, I got him on my show and everything like that. And now he's a social media manager for the Los Angeles Rams, bro. So something like that, bro. God
Exactly.
forbid
Yep.
football don't work out, bro. It's a whole ass avenue for you, bro.
Exactly.
It's crazy. People sleep on social media, bro. Like
Yeah.
you can make all the jokes you want to, bro, but like that's where the bag's at for real. So
Hmm. You really either know it or you don't.
yeah.
You either know how to navigate it and work it. You'll see people firsthand that don't know how to work it, and if you know how to work it, it's a blessing. You know what you're doing.
Yeah. Facts. Who is your biggest inspiration? Doesn't have to be football related. It could be anything. Just your biggest inspiration in life. Why do you do what you do?
um, Honestly, my parents. I know it sounds kind of cliche or oversaid a lot, but like I said about moving houses for me just to chase my own dream. Um, my brother, like he wasn't nearly like a risk taker like me, and my parents would tell me like you're the biggest risk taker I've ever met. Like you're willing to just transfer some school, move houses, and just jump into it without knowing what's gonna happen. I'm like, yeah, I mean, nothing. What else, So really them, because they've supported me in everything, like with training, with transportation, and just like growing up. I'd tell them when I was like 6 years old, like I want to play college football. I want to do this, and my dad would always be there and do the extra work with me. And we do like baseball wise, we get a pitching net in the backyard, and he'd be like, you could throw 10 strikes in a row. I'll go get you a DS game. So we'd make like bets. DSs were huge back then, and Super Mario was out and stuff. So me and my brother would be out there all day doing different types of sports. And it was funny. We have little bets. So it'd be like, yeah, you throw 20 strikes in a row and go buy you some dinner. So anything to really like improve the athletic edge is there. So they always, whether it was when I was serious with basketball too, I was training and they're like, well, if that's what you want to do, we'll do it. Just like right now, when I transfer JUCOs, like if that's what you want to do, we support it. We'll do it. And it doesn't seem like a big thing, but a lot of athletes do have that issue of their parents don't support them or don't know where they want to go. So yeah, I'd say that because you have dudes who commit, but solely off the fact that their parents want them to go to this place. But mine are like that. They're just like go wherever you want. We're not going to tell you what to do. So I would say that for sure.
Which NFL receivers do you watch take bits and pieces from to put in your own play style?
Um, I
If
would
you
say I
say
play
if
like
you say who you think I'm gonna say, I'm
nah
going
nah.
to scream
I,
at
I
the top
play
of my lungs.
I play a lot like Tyreek Hill. I get that a lot. No, I'm just playing.
All right.
Uh, I always tell people that because, obviously I get, you bro, you're Adam Thielen, Cooper Kupp, Julian Edelman. I'm like, okay,
No.
but football isn't race. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I
just because we
know.
look alike doesn't mean we play alike, which obviously there is similarities and stuff. But I always joke around, like, why can't I play like Tyreek Hill, the fast, short, dark skinned guy? But
Mhm.
I would say I've never really been big on like an individual guy. I like watching teach tape a lot. Like there's a page called Receiver School, and he'll break down every route, every step, and technique. But one of the best technicians for sure is Amari Cooper. He is ridiculous with his craft is just ridiculous. His bag goes so deep. Um, him, I really like him a lot. I never really, it sounds crazy. Like now, I'm obviously into Cooper Cup and stuff because he's got a cool story, which is really similar to mine, which I like a lot. But it's not like I watch his teach. But now I watch his teach tape, obviously, because the dude's a route genius. But like Julian Edelman was cool growing up because everybody would be like, you play like him because I'm like, who else can you really say I play like that? It's gonna be common knowledge to anybody. But I did always love Deshaun Jackson growing up. Ever since he scored that punt return touchdown against the Giants and he ran in the end zone, that was like my favorite receiver. So I really try to like take multiple people, I'd say, because if you really pick one guy, you're not going to be, as successful.
I see a ton, and it may surprise you, but whenever
All right, man.
I was cutting the tape, I see a ton of Christian Kirk, bro.
Really?
I see like a
Yep.
ton of Christian Kirk, bro,
I
because
see
like
that.
Christian Kirk's like a super underrated route runner, but like,
Mm,
bro, he can make every catch out there. I see it.
yeah, for sure.
I see some Christian Kirk. I had to throw in that question. That wasn't originally on the old question sheet,
No, no.
just because
That was great.
I wanted to hit the hour mark. It was our first.
Yeah, yeah, right.
I've had this show since April 20th of 2020. This is the first one to ever go over an hour. That's crazy.
I'm not talking too much, or
No, it's lit. It's amazing.
it's good. It's straight.
Yeah. Yeah. I've
Hey, by
been
the way, use promo code Tyson Schilling. Go get
hey.
yourself the coldest water bottle, man. You know what I'm saying?
Sheesh. I'm gonna need like half of that revenue right
Hey, Shelly.
there. Hey, it's lit though. It's lit. Hey, tell him to hit
Yeah.
me up, bro. What's going on,
Hey,
bro?
I got you. Like, I can literally shoot you a few brands right now and get you a deal. I work with them. They're, everybody does it. Like, you'll see them just put the water bottle in the corner or something. But like, all jokes aside, like this thing stays cold for like 3-4 days. Like, I keep icing it for days.
It's
I have
lit.
that, and then there's this thing called Cloudy, which is like melatonin diffusers and like gummies and stuff that help you sleep. Which I started using those too. So I'm like, those are really cool too. I work with them, so.
It's lit. It's lit. That's dope. One last question for you, Tyson. Any advice for the young athletes out there? What kind of tips can you pass along to maybe it's just like high school guys? I know your TikTok's all about it. We're going to link it all down
Mm,
below and all that stuff for sure. You're also going to plug it here in a few minutes, but what kind of advice, like if you had to narrow it down to just like one piece of advice that maybe you've ever heard, like one general broad statement, what would you say? Like boom, here's what you need to focus on to get to the next level.
I would say do what's best for you. I've been big on that. It sounds vague a little bit, but you need to really do what's best for you. I feel like a lot of dudes chase names, chase coaches, chase schools that don't actually want them back. I've seen it firsthand. Like, well, dude, this school's big and they want me. I'm like, well, they don't want you. They're interested in you, but you got to go somewhere that you're gonna be successful. You're gonna develop and get better and grow on the field, off the field, whatever sport it is, and just like, yeah, really, really, what's the best decision for you? Because everybody's different. I could get, I could get a big scholarship offer and I could get a mid, but it might not be the right fit at the big one. So
Mhm.
really, really, a lot of guys got to realize that and stop chasing names. I mean, tons of coaches say that obviously, and it's hard to turn down a really big school or something. But it's like, when I'm thankful for what I went through, like Iowa Western and stuff, and it not working out because then you realize what you're exactly looking for. And that's what made me find ELAC is like, that's what I needed and that's what I was looking for. So I tell coaches now, I'm like, yeah, I want this, I want this, and I want this. And I'm like, super straightforward. I'm like, don't waste their time because, they don't want their time wasted. I don't want to waste time with recruiting. So I would say that for a lot of guys out there is you just got to do what's best for yourself.
That's what's up. Ladies and gentlemen, Tyson Schilling, one of the best JUCO receivers out there. Not for long. Not for long, though. Not for long, though. Where can we find you out on social media? Plug all your socials.
All right. TikTok. I am Talk Tyson. TOKTYS just like the TikTok name. Any other social, you should be able to just find by my regular name, Tyson Schilling. So I know the Schilling might be hard to spell, but that's just SCHILLING. So
spells how it sounds. It's lit.
Yep.
Thank you so much for hopping on the show today, Tyson. I'm super excited for your journey, man. I'm excited to see how it all unfolds for you. I'm staying tuned just like everybody else. Make sure you go follow my boy. Great story, great content. Man, we're gonna have to chop it up again one of these days.
Yes, sir. We will for sure.
We're looking at an hour 5. Whenever we get to the league, maybe we'll shoot for like 210. We'll shoot for like 210.
We're going up. We'll get an in-person one, get the little headsets on,
Oh yeah.
Get going.
Oh yeah. We gotta run it up for sure. All right, my man. I appreciate you so much for hopping on the show. Make sure y'all follow my boy. Peace.